Welcome to the Polite Conversations podcast, where every episode is focused on civility, decorum, and good manners. And I'm your lovable, non-controversial host, Ina. If you know me, you know I definitely don't like to ruffle any feathers at all.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Polite Conversations. This is a special bonus episode with comedian Andy Kindler, who you may know from shows like Bob's Burgers. Hey, Andy, how's it going?
Very good. I mean, I'm saying very good, but we know that it's, since last November, I have really had to use 12-step programs and, you know what I'm saying, to try to, this is terrible, but what can I do on my level? You know, like right in my house. So I've been, because I couldn't watch the news for a while and I couldn't do, I still can't, it's still very, very hard to watch anything.
It's pretty bad.
Because he is absolutely a sadistic psychopath. So he gets pleasure from other people's pain. It's just so clear to me.
Who could you be talking about now?
Oh, Trump, I meant. Sorry.
I know. But yeah, when I asked you how you're doing in DMs when we were talking about doing this episode, I was like, "Oh, how are you, Andy?" And you're like, "I'm good, except for the shame I feel for my country."
That's true. I have shame I feel. And I have to say, no, at some point, as a psychological, talking to my therapist, I have to understand that I am not guilty of genocide myself because I can't stop the Israeli government. So when I do that, then I still feel shame and guilt. So it's just been a terrible thing because, I was raised as a Reformed Jew and which meant we really, the joke I used to do was, which meant that we met in a church. But there were no like rituals or anything, but they did from the time I was I'll never forget, I was 9 years old and they said two things. They said, well, kids, you may have heard that, we had something to do with the death of Jesus, but that happened on Passover, and we would have been in temple. Does that not sound plausible to you kids? Then the other one was, in 1948, the country of Israel was established, and there were some people there, but they liked to move around. They enjoy, and nobody could grow a thing till we came along. Nobody grew anything.
Make the deserts bloom thing. I've heard that.
Yes.
And then you learn about the colonialism through kind of planting trees that are not native and using that vegetation to cover up mass graves. And
it's terrible. And I had this joke before this happened. I said, there used to be an organization in Israel where you could plant a tree in your name. Now there's an organization that will remove a settler from the West Bank in your name. Just a little plaque. Shmoyne was here.
If that was true, that'd be an amazing organization.
But the thing is, you can't, I don't blame, it's like blaming everyone I like the Canadian, the Canadian government's better, but it's like blaming anybody in the members of a country because of their ruler, and now he's a king. So it's really. So
now are you talking about America or are you talking about Israel?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about America and Israel. See, I don't separate it really because to me, Netanyahu is at least as bad as Trump, if not worse. I've despised him forever. And I think Obama was trying to change it, but then Trump came in.
Yeah, I've just been very disillusioned with the entire Western world in these past 2 years, just super disgusted by all of it. And
I can understand that. Even today, there's they still want to not support, there's still something about supporting, what's his name? Mandani?
Yeah. Mamdani.
Yeah, there's still like, there's still hesitance. It's like,
Yeah, it's shocking.
yeah, that's so, there's nothing I can say about that. The only thing I'll say is that I still voted for who I thought obviously would have been way, way better than, and I think that part of the Putin propaganda thing is to get people not to vote at all, or now they're gerrymandering the states.
You're not a New Yorker, are you?
No, I'm from New York, born and raised.
Oh, okay.
And I've been out in California since 1978.
It's just all so awful out there, as you were saying. And listen, it's not your individual fault, but
I think it's funny that I'm a needy, insecure guy who wants to be. Don't tell me it's my fault, please. Okay, Andy.
You are American, so
it's pretty bad.
It's
pretty bad. I thought the Vietnam War was bad. I remember the Vietnam War very well, and where you saw people getting murdered on, just killed on television. And somehow it's gotten. I think my mistake was thinking, which was a mistake, that things would get better with time.
Mm-hmm. Things have gotten worse. I mean, I think what one of the things I find so horrific about this era is that there's nowhere to hide. Like, you can't say you didn't know, and you are watching all the crimes happen like in real time. And then if you still support them, it just kind of shakes your whole belief in humanity. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I have friends who are like, I haven't talked in a while, who it's very hard for them because it's like when Israel first came into being, and then it was true that before World War II, they turned down boats back to Germany. Mm-hmm. So it's a very difficult thing to say now. It shouldn't have been created. I think when it was created, I felt like, first of all, I wasn't born. So, but the idea that Jews weren't accepted anywhere should not have then led to this.
Right. This is the problem, that its creation kind of came along with ethnic cleansing and mass murder. And
so horrible.
Yeah.
I wish I could come up with more articulate ways.
Yeah. I mean, look, as long as you are speaking out against it, I think that is very valuable, especially in a country like the US, where people are being silenced constantly for saying the bare minimum. And
I'm saying, have they made me scared? Yeah, they have made me scared. But I mean, I obviously, the thing about Trump is that, it's like my wife's concerned because I'm a comedian and she knows that under the best of circumstances, I kind of like can cause trouble and get a little self-sabotage, right? So I want, so it's like, it's hard sometimes. So she's like, just calm down a little bit for a couple of days, I mean, I understand she doesn't want anything to happen to us, and I don't want anything to happen to us, like by, that would be like by poking a, but it just doesn't matter at this point. It's like, I am scared, but I feel like the tide is turning, but I've been feeling that way my whole life.
The tide turning can be a few decades long.
Well, I just feel like the arguments that were made when I was younger by the AIPAC, they can't make those arguments. There's no argument that they can make. I never liked them anyway, AIPAC. I'm a Jewish voice for peace. Just want to let you know that.
Nice. But as long as you see through those things and, you're aware of that, I think that's great. Like, and use your voice for whatever you can. And know that it's not your personal individual fault, but everyone speaking out is going to make a difference.
Yeah, it's so funny because there's so many topics involved in here. It's like we originally connected through Sam Harris. We were on opposite sides of this thing because my whole thing was I saw all these people being, just blanketly, Islamophobia. It just went nuts under the Sam Harris guise of, so in a lot of ways, we were on opposite sides of this at one point because I still think we might be at opposite sides because I believe that you can believe in, like I believe in something. I don't know what it is. I just feel like when people look at the stars or whatever it is, I just feel that there's something going on, and so I feel that there's something to connect to, whether it's the 12-step higher power or whatever it is. And so I've always wanted to, like my mother's a Quaker. You cannot believe the things they've said about, well, she passed away, but they said about my mother, like thinking Quakerism. They don't even understand it. My mother's life was saved by becoming a Quaker.
So she left Judaism?
Yeah, she left Judaism. Yeah, when I was 16.
Oh. What prompted that?
Well, here's the thing. She grew up in Mamaroneck, New York, and she always felt like she was she was a classic self-hating Jew because she was the only Jewish person in her whole community. So she always felt isolated. Even Jews themselves, I used to have this joke. People say, how can you be a self-hating Jew? And I say, spend a week at my temple. See how you do. Okay. See how that works out. Hello, Andy. Your cousin Michael's going to college. But you see, that was charming. That's the thing that also bothers me, Ina. I can no longer use my Judaism to sympathize with people who are being persecuted. That used to be one of my things, like Hitler.
Yeah, that's really shifted.
Exactly.
Now the Trump regime is using like weaponized accusations of anti-Semitism to target minorities and do like all sorts of fashy things. So the power balance has kind of really shifted on that. And then,
Barry Weiss.
Geez, yeah. I have so much to say on that. But we're here to talk about another shitty country. Yes. One that I grew up in, Saudi Arabia. They had a comedy festival recently. The Riyadh Comedy Festival caused a lot of outrage in certain parts. And there was a lot of apologetics out there, too. So I just wanted to see kind of what your leftist comedian views are like on that.
Well, I have to say that there's certain things that are just shocking to you. So in other words, like when Pete Davidson,
I've been getting a little bit of flack just because like my dad died 9/11. So they're like, how could you possibly go there?
Yes.
Says that he just looked at the price, all he looked at is the price. His father died in 9/11.
He looked at what? What did he say?
He looked at how much they were paying.
Oh, right. Yes.
And he said, that'll work out for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what, it's like, that's not what you're supposed to do as a human being. You're supposed to, and it's like when I used to organize for the unions, for the actor unions, I really did find that a lot of comedians just didn't care or didn't know anything about it. So a lot of times comedians can be like, well, I'm not part of any movement. Well, that might work at some other point in history. But the fact that you, and Bill Burr saying that it was one of the greatest experiences of what is going on here. And then how am I supposed to feel about Dave Chappelle, who I despise as an anti-trans, transphobic, horrible comedian. And now he's saying in Riyadh, it's like the only place he can, I feel better here. And like, isn't there people like Johnny Depp who have cozy up to this MBS? It's just like, there's gotta be a conscience at some point at base.
Has there though? I mean,
no, I don't think there is. I think there is.
We've been watching a live stream genocide for 2 years. So really, I don't know. Some people don't have a conscience, but so in my personal life, obviously I have friends who have grown up in Saudi Arabia, just like me. And there have been some lively debates in the group chats because, some of us are like, fuck that, fuck art washing any kind of evil, repressive regime. And some of us are like, well, look, we were living there once upon a time. And imagine how happy you would be if you could see like top-notch comedians just perform in Saudi. And like, I can see that, like, growing up there was no concerts. In fact, movie theaters were banned. So there was like very little to do, right? So if we had any kind of drop of like entertainment there, it would have felt incredible. But then I also like to point out that there's a difference in performing for the people of a country and performing at the behest of the government. Like this was a state organized thing to specifically whitewash their human rights violations. And so that's why it's bad. Even though if I was like a teenager in Saudi right now, I would be very happy in a pre-Me Too era, before I knew how awful some of these comedians are, to see some of them, right?
Right. But the thing about that is, I think there's two issues. There's an issue within the community that you're talking about whether it's, it's a good whenever you get to see something creative. And then the other thing is the comics using that as an excuse just to make an obscene amount of money. When you hear, who was it who said that, Louis C.K. was just just a despicable person all up and down the road. And I used to get, I used to despise Louis C.K. before I had an exact reason to despise him.
Why did you despise him?
Oh, well, I thought he was manipulative. I thought he was I used to say that he dressed like American Gervais. Was the way he dressed with the black, and that he was just constantly. The premise of his show, I thought, was bullshit. His shows, like everybody has these weird sexual things except for him. And we've heard this thing since it happened at the HBO Comedy Festival. Everyone has heard this. And so the fact that this is now, so that's before, but now after we know. But you could sense that
he was kind of hiding in plain sight, right? Like all his gross jokes about that stuff, I thought for sure, like he is just mocking such behavior, but turns out he was just telling the truth. using the C word for his daughters. I mean, it's like people liked him because they literally thought he was commenting on these things. Yes. And he did a movie. I don't know if I wish I could see it, where he's like Woody Allen style movie where he's the father of that got taken out of the movies. Not that where he looks like he shot it just like a Woody Allen movie, but where he's the father, Daddy Dear. It's not called Daddy Dear. Have you known about this movie? No, I don't know. I knew about this show, but is this after?
This movie was about to be released in 2017, and it's about a guy and his daughter who gets involved with an older. It's just as if he's saying, "I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Look at me, I'm getting away with this."
Oh, God.
And I had problems. There was a columnist, Emma, I think her name's Emma Nussbaum. And she wrote for years just praising he's the greatest comic in the world, and then she. I find out that she was hearing these rumors for years about him. So you're saying he's the funniest guy in the world, and you just overlook it, and you see it's just shocking to me.
Yeah.
But that's the main thing is the people can say, your friends can say they like to see people perform, but in terms of what this was a money grab by people who have no conscience, and you should have a conscience. And you can't just say, if you don't have a conscience, then you're just saying, why don't you just, hold up banks? I mean, that's actually more honorable
than whitewashing, like insane human rights violations. Yeah, perhaps it is. But okay, so this comedy festival featured like a lot of very prominent, like there was Kevin Hart, Pete Davidson, Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Aziz Ansari, Jim Jeffries.
Oh, Aziz Ansari said something about how he thought about. This is the biggest bullshit. When I go, I thought about it. Let me think about this here. These people have done horrible things, but maybe I can shine a little light. $1 million. Maybe we can shine a little. I just picked up a check for $1 million. I mean, it's really ludicrous. I mean, Aziz Ansari, I have, as I've called him Aziz, I'm sorry. I've never bought his thing. And, but the rampant commercialism of it. And I think some of them maybe thought they were so clueless. Some of them maybe didn't even know what they were going to. I don't know. I know a woman went and she was very sorry from Canada.
Yeah, like an out Jewish lesbian comedian.
Yes, I know her. Yeah, I forgot her name.
She said, she said she wanted to go to like provide some representation for maybe the queer people there.
Yeah. Jessica Curson.
Yes. And I mean, I think that's a nice thought, but you can't do that being paid by MBS. Like, it's nice to be an out gay comedian in Saudi Arabia if you're there to provide representation, but not when you are there on a state sponsored like comedy festival thing. So
if they called it art washing, would that have
that's exactly
discouraged
what they call
some
it.
people? Well, I mean, I'm saying if they name of the art washing festival, if they said the Riyadh Comedy, and it was in the title, the art washing festival, you think people would have gotten?
No, that's not the official title.
Well,
but that would be more honest.
that would be more honest, and they would go, "At least we're art." You know, the thing is, I can't even watch. I'm not a big fan of golf, but I hated when I respected some of the players who said they're not going to go for this live golf thing, but it was just I couldn't even, you know, just the last 3 years, you just watching and being enraged at these live golf players, and you have people like Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson is like golfs with Condoleezza Rice. You know, it's like
gross.
Some of these people are, you know, we can't forget that golf is a game that came from the upper classes and all this. Not that you would forget that, but it's just so discouraging. And some of these, now Jim Jeffries, I don't get, because he would think he wouldn't. See, people I thought wouldn't did. I thought Bill Burr wouldn't. He did.
Yeah. And some of his reasoning was very interesting. So let me read you some quotes.
Sure.
I was reading an article. So firstly, he said that the festival itself was a sign of like progress for the Middle East. So he wanted to participate in that, which as a very shallow reason, I can understand. Like any movement forward seems good. But then you're like, no. But the guy who organized this chopped up a journalist.
And you can't advocate for him because you're making $1 million.
Exactly.
You can't tell me I'm making 500. You're guilty on every front. So I think what you should either do, I think Jessica apologized. I mean,
and I think she said she's going to donate her proceeds to human rights organizations or something. But it's a weird choice to make. Apparently she did say, like, when two Saudi diplomats got up to go to the bathroom or something, she did say, "Oh, what you're going to go on Grindr," which people thought was gutsy.
Yeah, it's gutsy. It's unbelievable. Like, what can I say here within the Saudi Arabian thing to do like a Don Rickles like roast? You know what I mean? It's just such a ridiculous position to put yourself. But here's the thing: it's as simple as this. Would you?
So you didn't get an invite there, Andy.
It's as simple as this. Andy, would you like $1 million? Yes, of course I would like $1 million. That's it. That is it. It's people who literally
cost?
Obviously, they're nakedly, they say, I will make money. And all of a sudden, you know, some people go, in business, you do it, you know, is different. Business is the same as regular life. You have to have a conscience, you have to have ethics all throughout your life, you know? And so, you know, I've suffered as a comic by bashing people. You know, my whole job was to go up to Montreal and bash the industry. So, you know, I knew that was hurting my career doing that. But I was also compelled to do it. And I'm not saying I'm a hero because I'm very frightened now of getting rounded up, but I've always been frightened of getting rounded up. It's just come from a different direction now. But yeah, I mean, like some of those people. Well,
ICE is only going after the brown people for now. So for now, you're okay.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, there are people, you know, just the mayor of Newark, you know, all these, you know, it's just like, and all the people, I don't even know, you can't even keep track of what happened to the original people who went to Venezuela. He's doing things so fast.
Yeah. It's horrifying. And the fact that there's so little like actual pushback is also horrifying. Like, I don't know, everyone's just kind of frozen and appalled. But there's one criticism that I understand is like, so Westerners are very quick to say that, you know, don't go to these Arab countries, they violate human rights and all of that, which is fair. They absolutely do. But they're incredibly hypocritical also, because there's like so many horrifying actions by Western governments, especially in the past 2 years, which makes them even worse on the scale of slaughter, and America, one of the most violent countries ever.
It's like, I grew up and I was raised, I missed the draft. I had a draft card. I missed the draft by a couple of years. So it was conceivable if I was a couple of years old, my brother was in the lottery and could have gone. I was brought up on, this is a violation of American values. And I thought there was a huge movement in America to try to get to the American dream as Emma, what's her name? Emma Lazarus? That dream of give me your tired, give me your poor. That's what I would like to know that does exist in this country. But in terms of like the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, it's like, how do you, every single move by these and Republic, I mean, to me, it's like the enemy is so clear to me. It's been the same enemy always, and they've always. It's the Republicans. I mean, I know that you can say a lot of things about Democrats, and I understand that. But I'm a member of the Democratic Party. I have voted every. You can't tell. I mean, I'm not saying you said it, but you can't tell me I should have voted for Jill Stein in 2016, or or any of those things. I thought Ralph Nader had a personal thing with Gore. He didn't want Gore to win, and look what happened. So I think that I can defend, and I do defend how I voted and the things I believe in, but that doesn't mean I can't just say the whole thing is just, we can't be arguing. That argument falls flat if you're saying, well, we can't go there because they do this. Well, look what you're doing in your own country.
Exactly. So this is my thing. Like I understand and I accept and I agree, and I am a vocal opponent of sanitizing Saudi Arabia. I mean, I've personally experienced the oppression there. But I also wish for Western countries to be held to the same standards. Like at this point, it seems like they can do all sorts of mass slaughter and get away with it without any accountability. And Israel can go on a journalist hunting campaign. Yes, MBS is evil for chopping up a journalist, but Israel is also extremely awful for hunting like hundreds of journalists to silence them.
I saw it, yeah.
And bombing them to pieces, right? But again, that country is never held to the same standards. If American comedians wanted to do, maybe it's going to be a little bit different now because of the live stream genocide for the past 2 years, but otherwise it would never be talked about like how Saudi Arabia is talked about.
Well, the thing is that whatever PR war they've won, they never won it as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the thing is, but it's more complex than that, because the guy they killed in Israel, was it Yitzhak Rabin? Mm-hmm. He was murdered by the group that Netanyahu is with.
Yeah.
So I feel that there were people in
there's extremists.
Israel. No, I mean, I thought there were moderate people in Israel who don't like this. I think a lot of people in Israel don't like this. I mean,
so they don't like the impact that it has on them, certainly, and they oppose Likud. But when you see the polling,
is the polling really fucked up?
Please subscribe via patreon.com/Nice Mangoes on the premium tiers to access the extended version of this episode. Or you can purchase the episode individually too. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support it, there are several ways you can do that. You can share it online, talk about what you just heard. You can leave a 5-star review to help others find it too. And you can also subscribe via patreon.com/nice mangoes. No E in mangoes. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter before it's completely wrecked, you'll find me at Nice Mangoes. Again, no E in mangoes.